Welcome to another exciting episode of Fever Originals 2.0, India's first original music countdown show, a show for the artists and by the artists. Now today this artist specifically on the show, ये phone नहीं उठाता किसी का, ये नहीं करता किसी को call back. You must go and check his phone memory. थोड़ा करते हैं backtrack. I'll tell you this guy is a lyrical god, a lyrical genius. जब भी ये लिखते हैं ना, तो बड़े patience के साथ लिखते हैं. And the impact that he makes is unbelievable. Like the amount of hard work that goes behind every song, every lyric that he writes, and the rhymes that he spits is out of this universe. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of Fever Originals, मेरे यानी RJ Glenn के साथ we've got Krsna today with me. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I am so happy to have you on the show. It's been like a long journey for us to try and get you on the show. Your fans are absolutely loyalists. They love you for the kind of work that you've done, for the body of work that you've put in for so many years. यार शुरुआत से शुरू करते हैं. You've been called like a lyrical genius because clearly 2010 में आपने एक rap upload किया था, and I'm assuming you just uploaded that track and you went off to sleep.
Yeah, a video
on YouTube. तब तो भाई बात भी नहीं चल रही थी about YouTube and hip hop and all of that.
Yeah, it was all new.
It was very novel. बड़ा नया था. और वो जो explode हुआ, it was crazy. Take us to that. Right? This was on corruption. You had written a rap.
Yeah, this was 2010. I had done a song called Krsna, and it was at that time that CWG games were happening, and everything was going wrong. So it was just like it was like I felt like we needed a real anthem, that talked about like what was actually happening, and I just made that song just on a whim. Like I recorded it, I uploaded it. I remember I shot the video for like very cheap.
Right.
I took a half day off from work. I shot the video, put it on, and uploaded it. And next morning, I was like, oh, there's 8,000 views on this.
And at that time, 2010 की बात कर रहे हैं, bro.
2010, like 8,000 views is crazy. I was number 2 on YouTube in terms of like viewership. Yeah,
and was it the first legit song that went on YouTube, like the hip hop genre?
Yeah, I think so.
I think because 2010 में that time you're like, हाँ यार मतलब ये कहाँ से हुआ और कैसे ये scene एकदम explode हुआ वो गाना. Also for people, I'm sure all of his fans know about this. कि यार आपकी जर्नी तो way back Orkut के टाइम से, like way before that also. MySpace, you used to upload your music and stuff. Like you started way back, dude. So your game is like forever.
I was independently distributing music before it was a thing.
Yeah, man, actually. And I also know for a fact that I've heard this somewhere that you also distributed CDs and all of that for your music. That
initially the whole thing was about making CDs, right? Even when I had my first album, it was a physical album. Right. It was like you could go to a store and buy it. Right. And I feel like that has its own charm also.
Novelty है ना उसकी एक.
So it was always I heard one thing, like sometimes when we are coming up, we just make like CDs and distribute it to people just like that, you know. But one rapper like in the US, and I heard that rapper say that never give your CD out for free, even if you charge like 10 cents or 10 rupees or whatever. Always take that money, because then that person who's taking it from you is invested in listening to it.
क्योंकि इसने पैसा दिया है. तो वो this is actually a legit point,
because sometimes when you get some stuff for free, you just you're like whatever, like you'll just throw it. So
point. But we've seen the kind of music that you've done, and it's now we see you as this established artist who's done, like I keep reiterating this fact that कि आपने इतने साल दिए हैं music industry को. The amount of work that you've put in has been crazy, laborious hours of work, like just worked on your craft. But everybody's seen this beautiful side and is seeing this Krsna, the superstar side, but we also know a side that has really toiled. And why am I focusing on this is because आज के day and age में we want quick gratifications. Everybody, we want it like instantly. It's like यार noodles भी 2 minutes में नहीं बनते हैं, to be very honest. So this boy has been like at it for years. Brother, we were talking about your journey. You've had like monumentous success. Like we're gobsmacked looking at the way your fan following has grown. Like it's unbelievable. आपने जितना कुछ achieve किया है, but that has also come with time, with a lot of patience, with a lot of hard work. I call you a lyrical genius, and it's not just me. In fact, I was watching a few videos and Badsha happened to say this about you. He says, Krsna ना एक चीज अगर मुझसे कुछ लेना है तो वो patience है. I don't know how that guy works with so much of patience, persistence. He takes his own time. He called you an engineer of lyrics.
Right.
And you've been that, man. So has this writing skill always been there with you, or have you developed it over a period of time?
Honestly, I think I've always written this way. I think people discovered it much later.
Yeah.
You know, when hip hop, it needed hip hop to become or come to a certain level for people to understand what this was.
Right.
The guys I was influenced by early, they were writing like this, like, you know, not exactly like this, but the whole punchlines,
Right.
like, you know, all of that, that's always been in hip hop, you
Right.
know. And I feel like in the US or wherever outside, there's a good variety of hip hop.
Right.
So if you want to listen to this kind of hip hop with punchlines, with you know, wordplay and all that, you listen to certain artists.
Right.
If you want to listen to something else melodic, you listen to another trap artist. You know, and I feel like that's going to happen in India now, and it's very important that we make our own lanes. You know, so if people know me for this, I'm happy people know me for this. You know,
Right.
because it's my lane at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that nobody will come into that. Anyone can do it.
Right.
But
You paved the way now.
But it's you have to make the lane though.
Right.
For someone to use it.
Right,
Right.
right.
So I think that's what I feel like that's my contribution in that way.
Right, right. But you and Badshah also collaborated. आप दोनों का
Of course.
एक गाना आया था. How was that collaboration, man? Tell us a little bit about that.
We did roll up on
Yeah.
my album Sell Out.
Right.
Not Sell Out, sorry. Still Here. We basically I had made the song and I sent it to him. And I was like, this sounds a little like, you know, it has a little commercial hook and whatever. And I was like, maybe like he's the right guy to, you know. And I sent it to him, and I think immediately he was like, oh yeah, it's a banger, bro. I was like, you know, if you want to get on it,
Right.
like, feel free.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, let's do it or whatever. And then I think maybe a week, 10 days later, he sent me like a rough verse and all. And it was done. It was just very like organic, and it just happened. I think it was right place, right time, everything. And it was a great experience. And I remember we shot it, and he sent me the master of his not master, but his like final vocals on the day of the shoot. I remember getting that on the day of the shoot, and I was so happy. I was like, finally, I got this track done, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it was an amazing experience.
Man, this is what happens when artists come together and you know, create magic with their own sounds. We got a track like Roll Up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's far from over, man. When this man is here, it is far from over. He's constantly creating, recreating, churning out new things. Every time you think that he's given you enough, then he comes up with another surprise. What's your thing with surprises, bro? Like your fans also want to know this. Like, there's a whole Reddit post on Krsna surprises. Like, what is this? Like, explain to us.
It's not I feel like, you know, sometimes when you don't build anticipation, it sort of hits different.
Yeah.
You know, there are projects, of course, where you want to build anticipation. It's like if you have a album dropping, maybe it's good to build that anticipation. So when it drops, that, you know, it's received like that. But I feel like these kind of projects, these EPs or even singles, sometimes here and there, you should like put without expectations, you know.
But I was on Reddit and somebody had this whole post about how your EP had crossed like crazy amount of streams in less than 6 days. You were breaking records over there.
Right.
So, dude, there's a different impact that you're making with your music and your fandom. There are people who say that I've read comments where you've collaborated with Seedhe Maut.
Right.
I think this was for Khatta Flow, and somebody said the saddest part about Krishna's verse is that it's over. I was like, dude,
people keep saying that, oh, your verse was small, your verse was short. But my verse is as long as their verse. They're not going to give me double their verse. Like, it's such a weird thing to say, but people don't realize that my verse is as long as theirs. So, like, you know, it's not like my verse is short.
No, we're going to talk about this one also, but tell us about this new baby of yours, man.
Far From Over is just basically, I had taken a little bit of a break in the middle.
Right.
And I just wanted to put something out. So I had an EP earlier this year called Time Will Tell. And then I took a little bit of a break or a breather because I wanted to find a little more inspiration and, you know, just creativity.
Right.
And not just do whatever I'm doing again.
Correct.
You know? So I just took my time with it, and I think in the last just 2-3 months before release, it all started like coming together. Like I made Prarthana. Prarthana was the first track that I made. So Prarthana was the first. Bharg had like sent me some beats, and he came to my studio, and that was a beat that like immediately like stood out to me because it's although I've never done something like that type of beat, but it just is a beat that like fits into my flow very well. So I heard that.
The opening, sorry to cut you, the opening is a little different, man. It's got a very
like a 70s.
Yeah, very 70s, 80s vibe to it.
Yeah. That's what caught my ear also. I was like, okay, this is like super different.
Huh.
And then at that time the drums were a little different on that, and then we recreated it. Umair worked on the drums. Deep worked on the drums a little bit. So then we just when that song happened, I was like, okay, maybe it's not like, maybe I should not just put this one song.
Right.
Maybe I need some more.
Right.
So I was just making.
Then you call your amigos.
Yeah.
See them all and say, "Hello, amigos, let's do this."
In fact, that was the last song of the EP that I did.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I'd done all of it, and I had that one last song left, and it just clicked. Like I was just in the studio, and honestly, these kind of hooks just come to me like while I'm just
Right.
chilling. Like it's like. It was just like I'm on the mic and I'm like, "Hola, amigo, kaise ho, theek ho?" It's like that. That's the vibe. It's not like pre-thought off or all that. So it was just the way it's delivered is the way it came to me.
Right.
So
but I think that's the authenticity that most of your fans really like, because they feel that, and I always say this from a artist perspective, that when you're supremely honest about your craft, audience को समझ में आता है यार.
Right.
You can't like banao an audience after a point of time. Audience nahi yaar, we understand the pulse of the artist and what he or she is trying to say.
Right.
I think that's how they connect with you. Talk about Pratna, bro. Tell me the story about this. Like, what was the whole idea? Because like I mentioned to you before we started this conversation, मैं किसी से बात कर रहा था आपके म्यूजिक के बारे में, तो मैंने अपना इंटरप्रिटेशन दिया आपके 1-2 लाइन का. उसने कहा नहीं यार ये मेरा इंटरप्रिटेशन है. किसी और से बात की, उसने कहा ये मेरा है. एंड ऑल ऑफ अस केम टू अ कॉमन कंसेंसस कि ये कृष्णा का हो ही नहीं सकता, उसका कुछ और ही है, वो कुछ और ही सोच रहा है इसके बारे में. That's the beauty about some lines that you write. Like I was telling you about the 24 karat line, no Bugs Bunny. Dude, I like that. For me, the interpretation is that you're going bigger and you're going, out there to get something. Right. Tell me the story of Pratna, and then we'll go through each verse.
I feel like that's a song where I'm the most comfortable in terms of I know what exactly I'm doing in that situation. Because that type of song, like I have songs like No Cap, which is a similar sort of vibe where I know that it's me delivering lyrics, which is what I do, and with like a hook that's sort of casual but catchy, and so it just makes sense to that, as in it's single material for me. It's like, okay, this is my in hip hop we say I'm in my bag on that, you know. So that's kind of what Prarthana was. And see, you say that I have a different interpretation, but usually what happens is when I'm writing, I think of various things when I'm writing something, right? And there is obviously layers to all of it.
Absolutely.
And you try and sometimes you write it and then you discover the layer yourself.
Interesting.
You're like, okay, this is good, but it could be this as well. So that's kind of.
So basically, even after writing, you figure out कि हाँ इसका ये मतलब भी हो सकता है.
Right. No, also that when you write it and you are reading it back, you feel like, okay, this is what I've written, but this can be an added layer if I just do these things. You know. So sometimes that process happens.
Because it's a forever evolving process.
Right.
The whole writing process.
And my writing process is very laborious. Like it's like I have to think of every line and have to think of like, I'm not like the type. There are artists, and I really appreciate those artists who can just go in and write a verse quickly and be done with it. I'm not that guy. I have to I sit and I think about my stuff, And
I said that Bacha said this about it. He's like, बहुत फुर्सत से. He'll work on every bit of it. Like there has to be meaning to what he's saying.
Right. No, I don't want to. My whole thing is that I don't want to waste a line. So that's my thought process. My thought process is, okay, if I can put something here that can elicit a reaction or something like that, I want to do that.
But bro, like seriously, after writing all of that, to add a little bit of fun to it, like do you just come up with these things?
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I come up with them very randomly. Like it's not like अभी मैं लिख रहा हूँ तो अभी आ गया. Sometimes ऐसी गाड़ी चला रहा हूँ आ गया. So then I was like, I put it in my stash box. I'm like, ये है अभी.
Use करेंगे कभी कहाँ पे?
ये आएगा. So ऐसे भी होता है बहुत बार. But कई बार लिखते लिखते भी हो जाता है.
Right.
And you don't know how that happens. Like I say that sometimes it's a crazy process that when you're writing a song, like there are songs like No Cap, that if you ask me ये कैसे लिखा था क्या था मेरे को नहीं पता कैसे लिखा
Right.
था. Right, I don't know how I wrote that song.
Right.
Like it just came
It's
to
a
me.
flow, no? Sometimes.
Yeah, it's like divine sort of intervention. It's like कि मतलब कोई और लिख रहा है तुम्हारे लिए.
Right.
And it's just that you're flowing with it.
Your favorite lines from Pratna that hit really hard.
Honestly, from Pratna, I can't even choose because like you're asking me to choose like from a child. Like you were like this child more or this child. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. I can't. And that's the toughest thing. A lot of people ask me, do you like this line or this line or which line
Right,
do you like?
right.
I'm like, how do I tell you which line I like? You know?
ये
Very
इनका
tough.
अपनापन है ना अपने म्यूजिक के